Hi all, welcome to join this live event. So this is the live event from GEG APAC, and let me introduce what GEG is. Actually, GEG is a Google Educator Group. Educator Group, that means we collect a lot of educators and then try to join together, hold together to share and collaborate and support each other in the GEG group. And actually, we welcome all of you to join. Anyone can join the GG group. And the GG group is run by educators and people like you, just like me. I'm just a secondary school teacher, and then I hold a GG groups with my friends. And also, we will hold a lot of the events, like some online events and offline events. And this is one of the kind of online events. Yeah. So today we have a board. Actually, this is the GG APAC. The GG APAC is that we work with different GGs in the APAC region. So like we have English, just held by the Japanese or some place they can talk about. They can speak English and Putonghua. Some of the Taiwan teacher holders, and we have Cantonese, and some of our trainer do this, and we have Japanese too. Just so you can go to this event page and then look around. So let's see any good things you can find, and you can join those event. Yeah. So could you please say hi to our guests? Today I invite my guest. This is Miss Judy from Korea. So she will give a English section. So please say hi and then just interact with Judy. Where are you come from and what are you teaching? Which subject are you teaching? Yeah. Hi. Yes. Good. Hi. Where are you come
Hello,
from?
everyone. Hello, hello. Thank you. Should I just introduce myself, or you are going to introduce me, or which one do you want me to?
I pass the time to you. You can introduce yourself.
All right. Okay. So I'll just get started. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm sure that a lot of viewers there in Hong Kong and Korea, or maybe Southeast Asia, or in Asia too. So good evening, everyone. Um, First of all, I'd like to thank you, Jason Pang, and GG Hong Kong and Macau SAR for having me here tonight. And allow me to just introduce myself. And my name is Jungeun Judy Kim. And then please call me Judy, or my students call me Googly Judy. And very nice to meet you all tonight. As Jason introduced about the GG APAC, and we have a Google Educators group connect event, and then the yesterday we had a Korean session, and then today I'm in English session, and then so today I'm going to share some of my experience and then also some of the tips with you today. um, I acquired the Google Certified Educator Level 1 and Level 2 in January and July in 2018, and I became a Google Certified Trainer same year in August. Since then, I have conducted all day training sessions for GC for Education and Google for Education certificates more than 89 times. And in September 2019, I participated. That was one of my mind-blowing experience in my life. I participated in one of the Google for Education Innovators cohorts in Singapore and met 35 wonderful educators all over the world. And now I am a Google certified innovators. I met great educators there, and then I shared a lot of ideas with them, and they shared great ideas with me. And so we just shared a lot of kind of insights together, and that really helped me to train the teachers who are facing this school closure period. Probably you wonder, Judy, why are you telling this? Why am I telling this? It's because what I'm going to share with you today is more than tips and tricks for G Suite apps. It is more about fruits and amazingly miraculous things I have witnessed with the educators I've met through this course of journey. Okay, now let me begin. My topic tonight is distance learning strategies with the GC for education from South Korea, including how Korean teachers have been utilizing GC for education for distance learning. And later on, if time allows, I will share with you some tips for Google Meet and Google Slides for online classes and distance learning. GC for Education was introduced to Korean schools in 2016, probably for the international schools in Korea or different cases. Today, I will mostly talk about the cases in Korean public schools. Back then, I think there were none or very few trainers to run PD sessions or train G Suite admins. So there were a couple of universities and public schools started applying for GC for education, but still relied on other learning management system, not GC for education. From 2017, Google Educators Group South Korea worked closely with the Google Korea and started to run boot camps and jump stars to train educators and trainers. And the trainers developed the PD sessions and GEGs in their local districts in 2018 through 2019. And at the same time, the number of schools and universities shifting to GC for education also increased quite a lot. And it was also due to the needs of adjusting to the new world, the fourth industrial revolution. But still, the GC for education coverage rate was considerably low. In January, Yes, in January, when the first confirmed case of the pandemic of coronavirus 19 was announced, no one in Korea ever expected to see all school closure. And it was during winter vacation. So all we had to do back then was hoping for things get better before spring semester starts. Korean schools start the school year in March, not in September. And on February 23rd, the Ministry of Education announced the new school year at all kindergarten, elementary, middle, and high schools across the country will begin on March 9th, a week later than initially planned. Then the pandemic got really worse like a snowball, and the opening was postponed twice for a week or two. But the parents and associations of teachers were concerned and still are concerned, saying that schools are vulnerable to infections as the students study and eat together in classes mostly. Uh, finally, Finally, the Ministry of Education decided to reopen all public schools, which is 5 weeks later than scheduled. But all the classes will be conducted virtually and integrating students into online teaching from April 9th for the 12th graders and the ninth graders first. And on the 16th, this is a Thursday, all the rest of the students except the kindergarten and grade 1 to 3 students, which means 4 million students need to start their distance learning at this point. A lot of us agree that it was an inevitable decision to take classes online, but there are mixed emotions and voices from students, teachers, and parents. Some teachers are
Sorry,
used to integrating.
sharing your screen.
Yes, uh,
Because I can't
you're
show.
not seeing,
Yeah,
seeing my
so
screen?
can you show me the screen? Yeah, because
Sure.
maybe there's some problem. Yeah. Oh yes, I can find it.
Should I
Yeah.
start from the beginning or
As you like, as you like. Yeah, just feel free to do it.
just to if you just let me know what to do, I will just go ahead. Yes.
Maybe show some photos or yeah.
So,
So
but do you want me to start from the beginning or just to start from
okay,
where I
okay.
am?
Maybe you can start from the beginning. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, all right. So, um, probably viewers, you are bored because I'm going to start again. Okay, so I'll just start everything all over again from the beginning. All right, so once again, everybody, very, very nice meeting you. My name is Judy Kim, and I really thank Jason for having me here, and also thank GEG Hong Kong and Macau SAR for having me here today. And then my name is Judy Kim, and you can call me Judy. And my Korean name is Jungeun Kim, so you can call me Kim Jungeun. And my students call me Googly Judy too. Very nice to meet you. Uh, well, I probably need to start with how I just got this point to share like my experience with you. The very first time I got acquainted with Google was uh, January 2018. I acquired Google Certified Educator Level 1 and Level 2 in January, Level 1, and in July, Level 2. And I became a Google Certified Educator, trainer, same year in August. And since then, I have conducted like all day boot camps, so training sessions for GC for Education and Google for Education certificates more than 89 times. And in September 2019, last year, I participated one of the Google for Education Innovators cohorts in Singapore. And then the 36 wonderful educators all over the world, including myself, like invited. And then it was my mind-blowing experience. I was inspired, and then I was empowered too. And then I also shared a lot of insight with the teachers I met there. And then I think that really brought me up to this point to share my experience and expertise with the educators all around the world. Probably why Judy's telling this, because what I'm going to share with you today is not just to quick tips and tricks for G Suite. I just want to share with you my experience and also some of the fruits and then products and also amazingly miraculous things I have witnessed with the educators I met through this course of journey. Today, my topic is the distance learning strategies with the GC for Education and from South Korea. And then also, I'd like to include some of like tips and tricks for Google Meet and Google Slides. And also, I want to share with you how Korean teachers utilize GC for Education for distance learning. GC for Education was first introduced to Korea, I think, like a year 2016, and probably back then, not many trainers or probably very few trainers run PD sessions or to train G Suite admins. So a couple of universities and public schools started applying GC for Education, but still they relied not on GC for Education, but on other learning management system. But from 2017, the Google for Education group South Korea worked very closely with educators and Google Korea and started to run boot camps and jump starts to train educators and trainers. And the trainers developed PD sessions and GEGs in their local areas, local districts in 2018 and 19. And at the same time, the number of schools and universities shifting to GC for Education increased quite a lot. And it also probably due to the needs of adjusting to that fourth industrial revolution. But still, GC for Education coverage rate was quite low back then. In January, yes, going to the January session, January this year, when the first confirmed case of a pandemic of a coronavirus disease 19 was first announced, no one in South Korea ever expected to see all public schools, all schools closer. And it was January. January was like during winter vacation, so we we just to try to just to hoping for that the things get better before the semester spring semester starts. And the Korean schools usually start school year not in September, in March. So that's why the teachers meet students very first time in March. Anyhow, in on February 23rd, yes, on February 23rd, you can see in this newspaper article, the Ministry of Education announced that the new school year at all kindergartens, elementary, middle, and high schools across the country will begin on March 9, not the first week of March, right? So a week later than initially planned. Then the pandemic got really worse, like a snowball, and the opening was postponed twice for a week or two. But parents and the teachers, associations of teachers, were concerned, and still are concerned, and saying that the schools are very vulnerable to infections as it's uh, students in some schools study and eat together in the classroom and cafeteria together mostly. And finally, the Minister of Education decided to reopen all public schools, which is 5 weeks later than scheduled. But all the classes will be conducted virtually and integrating students into online teaching from April 9th for the 12th graders and the 9th graders first. And on the 16th, this Thursday, all the rest of the students except kindergarten and grade 1 to 3 students, they all start this distance learning, which means that about 4 million students only, 4 million students need to start distance learning at this point. Now, a lot of us, we agree that it was an inevitable decision to take classes online, but still there are mixed emotions and voices from students, teachers, and parents, and especially some teachers who are used to integrating technology and digital tools and apps to the project-based learning and running hands-on activities in class connected with the students and working on projects together in physical classroom settings, but even they never have been separated each other or one another like this, and teaching and learning remotely, especially with the teachers and students who haven't met in person yet. um, so as I mentioned earlier, like Korean school years start in March, not in September. So all the schools, they haven't opened yet, and then so the teachers and students, they haven't met yet in person. So this is and was one of the most challenging aspects for teachers, to invite their students to their virtual classes and expect them to actively participate before even getting to know each other. And for some other teachers who have been delaying applying smart learning or digital platforms to their classes, were agitated and struggling to decide which platform they need to go for or where to cry out for help when they face the shortage of their skill sets to conduct the distance learning and remote online classes. Now, before I move on, I would like to take you back to early February when the pandemic outbreak was ongoing and many teachers were speculating school closure. Back then, the life and death and social distancing was way more important than education. But that point, the local GEG teachers and the educators start to utilize G Suite apps like Google Sites and YouTube to curate helpful information and tutorials for both the schools and students' parents. So since they don't need to log in to access the information embedded in those sites, uh, that was a great point for teachers wanting to learn more about GC for education. And especially my district, Gyeonggi, is a little different uh, because all the schools in the district of Gyeonggi, and then we're gradually shifting to GC for education from late last year. And the leaders and the captains, so we have like leaders and captains all together, about 12 of us. And then the leaders and captains of GG Gyeonggi were in a group that was helping to prepare and consulting district officers, school leaders, and administrators in the district to set up GC for education and translate English manuals for GC for education to Korean. And then we all agreed, even back then, that training teachers and running PD sessions in schools were crucially important to move forward professionally. So the GG Gyeonggi teachers were creating training materials and scheduled to run on-site training. We're talking about back then. Yes, so we never expected this coronavirus pandemic is going to go this worse, whether we're going to have a quarantine problem or isolated. Back then, we tried to just to create the material and the schedule for on-site training. But due to the coronavirus pandemic, we had to either postpone or cancel all those training plans. But we didn't stop there. We had a conference calls every day, almost every day after work, to develop ideas and simulate our team training to conduct future training sessions successfully, hoping that once corona gets better and then once corona goes away, we we might just to use this material, and also our practice will pay off. We were just hoping back then like that. And at the same time, we were conducting pilot virtual teachers training program with a group of 25 to 40 teachers. So be ready for virtual school opening and distance learning just in case back then. And when Google officially made a announcement, said that Hangout Meet, which is now Google Meet, the premium features free for GC for education, we GG Gyeonggi teachers suggested the idea of a virtual teachers training using Google Meet with the data of those teachers who participated in the pilot training. And then their training was amazing. Like we tried to conduct the training, and then we tried to just to give them assignments and then quizzes, and then the majority of them, almost like 98% of participants, trainees, their teachers, they completed course, and also no one was late or even absent. So we just try to just to convince the board of education and then our district education, and then see if we can work together to train teachers systematically, and then see whether those teachers can be ready just in case if this is school closer gonna go longer, or whether back then we didn't know we were going to just have online classes or distance learning. So just in case, we can just prepare for that. So we had like a job sharing. So first of all, district office used the government networking system to help teachers to sign off for the PD sessions. And then it was amazing. Like as soon as they just opened the sign up page, within 30 minutes, like about 500 teachers registered, and then 1,000 teachers logged in. So the server went down. And the following week, we had to open more sessions, and then 4,000 teachers signed up. And then so far, which means from second week of March to even yesterday, last night, the number of teachers who found Google Meet for their PD through this virtual teachers training session for a month is more than 8,000. So now we are just we means like we GEG teachers, and then we are also the trainers. We are mostly like trainers, certified trainers and innovator. And then we are now moving on to the next training session for G Suite admins and assessment tools for distance learning. And furthermore, we are helping other districts to replicate our programs to train their district teachers. So if I can just to briefly, yes, so you can just see the pictures of these participants. I just got only just four the pictures, but we have like a lot more than this. And then thanks to Google Meet, they just to let us use this premium feature, like can have like 250 participants at the same time for this one call. And then we could just train so many teachers, and then we can just help them to be ready for this distance learning. And then this distance learning, and then we just got the feedback that whether the sessions, the training sessions were helpful. Like most of the teachers, like I can say like 100% of teachers, that they had a better understanding for G Suite, and then they just want to go for the move on to the next the training session. And so I think our training sessions were very successful, at the same time very helpful. And then we GG Gyeonggi teachers been working so hard, but we feel like this is great rewarding to see the smiles on teachers' face. Now, maybe I can just briefly introduce the types of tools we introduce for this virtual teachers training for them to utilize GC for education, um, for them to just to setting up their virtual online class and also facilitate their students distance learning. So some of the tools that we introduced, I can probably just go through one by one and see what kind of tools I introduced. So usually we introduce these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, along with that, we can just add some of the Chrome extensions or other apps too. Depends on the group of teachers we teach. For example, if we teach math teachers, if we train math teachers, we try to actually focus on Google Sheets. So, but mostly these three apps are kind of like a basic the tools we introduce. So the first of all, we start with the Hangout Meet. We just help them to setting up the Hangout Meet room and then how they can actually create the room with a code and then some of the instructions they need to give their students. And also we introduce some of the Chrome extensions to facilitate the communication, online communication with their students when they meet their students through Google Meet. And then these are the tools we introduced too, and also uh, the one of the the things we GEG Gyeonggi were very proudly to do was we helped other developers to, when they just to actually create the program or Chrome extension program, we help them to translate. We volunteer to help them to translate in Korean language, so Korean teachers can easily, I mean, they can access to it, but if they just have a language barrier, they don't know how to use them, right? So we also help them, the developers, to publish in Korean version of a manual or Korean the pages, so teachers can intuitively learn how they can use this tool or apps or Chrome extensions. So now the Meet attendance is available in Korean language. Well, thanks to GEG Gyeonggi teachers. Thank you. We just work together. So once we introduce Google Hangout Meet, the next tool we introduce is Google Classroom. So we briefly introduce them, what each section does, what kind of things they can do. And after that, they participate the classroom we create as students. So and then they experience. I mean, probably the majority of teachers who sign up for this training program, they probably have used Gmail, or they just Googled it when they just had some kind of questions. But they only heard of Google Classroom, but never really create the classroom themselves, or they never really joined any classroom other people created. So we try to just to teach them from the scratch. So after that, they join the classroom as a student. I mean, probably I can just tell you later on again after I just go through each tools I introduce in the training session. But the main theme and then also main idea of our virtual training session is not just to dump a lot of tools to them and then force them to learn. Not at all. Not at all. Important thing is our training is helping teachers fully experience these G Suite apps and G Suite platforms as learners and allowing them to make mistakes and feel how their student might feel once once they're students or once they integrate these tools and these platforms to their virtual classes. Um, so going back to the apps we introduced, so the Google Classroom, and then once they experience as students, and then I just let them create their class, and then just invite the trainees and us to their classes, and so they can actually compare as a student's view or teacher's view. And then after that, we just move on to Google Drive. Let them create the folders and then subfolders, change the color, and then share the folder with the others. And then the options of sharing. And then after that, I let them create the Google Docs into the folders or into one of the folders they create. And usually when I introduced to Google Docs has numerous features. Probably I can just spend next 10 hours to introduce some of the my favorite features for Google Docs, like voice to text features or search features. But especially for this virtual training, I try to focus on hyperlink. And I'm not quite sure whether a lot of you are familiar with the Google Docs or even Hyperlink or HyperDocs. If you open Google Docs and then you have a toolbars and then go to insert, then you can see the link. So, usually, let's say, for example, you create one site or you have a YouTube link too, and then the link is quite long. And then sometimes students, when they click it, before they click it, they're not quite sure whether, that link, where they're going to just lead to those links. So my favorite kind of like the feature of Google Docs is this hyperlink. So it says Judy Kim. So I just to use this in my syllables, right? So students have the link to access to this Google Doc, but what they see is just a little like black ones and the blue ones. And the black ones are simple text. So this syllables is English class 101, and then teacher is going to be Judy Kim. And then they want to get to know more about me. Then I embed my site, my personal site into this Judy Kim, instead of just making like a 10 different, 10 page long Google Docs to explain who I am, what I like, what I do. So students can simply touch it. If they have a mobile phone or they have a Chromebook, click it, and then it's going to lead to my website, and they're going to browse who their teacher is going to be, and then what this teacher is about, right? So, and also same thing. So first lesson grammar, and then instead of just to make a copy of the link and then students just see the list of links, I just embed a link, and then students see only the text. All they have to do is just click it, and it's going to lead them to the tutorial video or worksheet they need to complete, or some of the link of a Google Classroom assignment. So, and then I try to make sure that if the students, as I said, in Korea, the semester hasn't started yet, so probably some of the students might not have the G Suite accounts. So I try to just to make it anyone can view it. So I have this share function, and then this is also what I actually introduce in our in my the virtual teachers training session. And then after that, we just introduce them the Google Slides. And then, commonly Google Slides is used for presentation. Just right now, I'm just using Google Slides for presentation. But for me, I use Google Slides for teachers to utilize for this distance learning. The Google Slides is fascinating tool for us to embed a lot of different kind of teaching resources, from images, text, charts, even MP3 file, voices, and also the videos too. And so if you have to run the distance learning, and also you have to just to guide your students what they are supposed to do for this week or today or this month, and maybe you can just add those information into Google Slides. Now, if you create your Google Slides, probably you know where your video is and which page has a text and which page has this image, right? But sometimes the students they're pretty lost. They don't know which page they need to go to complete this assignment, and which video they need to watch to finish this worksheet. So I also use a hyperlink to it. So I just make a table of content. So maybe I can just show you the actual one. So the first page is intro, and second page is table of contents. And I just actually typed in some of the text, or add an image, or add a video. And then if I just share this one to students view only, this is probably what they see, right? So starting from the first page, for example, Google Class 101 Judy Kim. So as you can see, this is also the you can see the hyperlink right inside, which leads you to the Judy's webpage. And then move to the next page, which has the table of contents. All students have to do is click it, and it's going to lead them to the text page. And then probably you notice there is a picture of a teacher at the top right corner. If they click it, it's going to lead them back to the table of contents. And then click to the image, lead them to the image I just embedded, and then click again. So the one of the reason I actually put my picture is they haven't met me yet. And then so just like a class, if I just give them out any handouts, I'm not going to just to throw them out a set of a paper, a pile of papers. I'm going to see them eye to eye and says, John, this is for you. Maggie, this is for you. So they're going to get to see me if they just get any kind of resources from me. Same thing. So click, bring them back, right click, bring them back. So this is also the feature I introduce. Of course, probably I can just show them other features for Google Slides. For this distance learning virtual teachers training course, we try to show them how they can use these slides to guide the students and then also facilitate the students' distance learning. And once we are done docs and slides, then we just to move forward to Google Forms. So we help them create Google Forms for checking the attendance. So we just have like a welcome check, welcome forms. Students need to type in their names and then also the classes or student number. And then also we just to move forward to Google Forms, making creating quizzes. And then also if I just to have like a science teachers group or math teachers group, I just help them some kind of like a Chrome extensions to create like a equation such as like a equatio. And then so we try to adjust to meet the needs of those group of teachers. Once they have this online class or virtual class, they can actually, not for testing, but at least they can interact with the students and then facilitate their learning. And then our last tool to introduce is Google Sites. Google Site is one of my favorite tools, but also the teachers can put everything together. They create it into one site. So students don't need to go here and there. All they need to do is they can only just touch the button. They have a mobile device or they just click it to go to or access to the information teacher uploaded. So and then also teacher doesn't need to worry about creating this whole site themselves. They can actually invite the collaborators or the teachers teaching the same subjects or teaching the same like graded students. They can create it and then develop these sites to get together. So the last tool we introduced is Google Site. So just like this, we try to introduce Google platforms or Google ecology tools, GSfE tools for teachers to use them for interacting with the students, but not only just interacting and chatting, but also help them to learn. That means setting up the classroom. And then, but setting up the empty classroom is just it just means nothing. So we help teachers to manage Google Drive to create important or meaningful resources there. And all they need to do is attach to or add to the assignment or resources part or make an announcement. And then, so once we open school, we are not quite sure when, but still the teachers can build a meaningful relationship with the students. And also students feel like they're not really left alone. And they're not just passively watching kind of like the video clips or tutorial clips and then complete the assignment themselves. But the students can feel that we are remote. We are not in the same place, but at least we are doing the same thing at the same time. And the teachers, we do care and we do miss them. So that's the point of our virtual teachers training session. Um, This is also the insight I got from the one of the innovators, Emma Pass. She just posted in her Twitter, and then this is also my favorite. Actually, the feature of Google Meet. If I have a group of students, I cannot just have them always together in one Google Meet room. Sometimes I want just to put them in different teams and let them just to conduct some team project together, which they can do if we have a class together in person. So I just first I create 4 or 5 different the Google Meets rooms, and then make sure that I know those links, and then I use HyperDocs to embed those links to separate those rooms for each team. And then also I make the Google slides for for students to add their ideas or the products of their discussion. And then I create this Google Docs and then share the link with the students during the hangout, during the Google Meet session. So there is like a text chatting section, so I just instantly share that link so students can click it and access to this Google Docs, but view only. They cannot just actually destroy. They cannot really just actually to change these links. Then that's going to be disaster. So view only, and I share the link, and then students find out which team they belong to. And all they need to do is just click the link and join the new Google Meet room, and then with the rest of team members. And also at the same time, click the Google Slide link. And each page, they have a sections to develop. So I just try to put the names. Probably you can see at the right bottom corner. So I have a team 1, John, Jason, and Maggie, and then I assign each page with a different color, background color. So while they are doing their discussion at the same time, that's not the end of their discussion. They need to just actually add something to their slide. So once the team project time is over, I can actually see what they have done. Now, so while students are talking and while students are doing their team project, what I'm doing is I can just have like a main page which all the students are together, and then I also just to click the link of each room and then visit, and then just to see how they're doing, if they have any question, if they just need my help. And it's the same thing physically when we are in the classroom together. When we just to put those students into different teams, we cannot just to help all the teams at the same time. We just visit each team and ask them if they need any help, right? So same thing. So you create the separate rooms and then embed the links and make sure that also students are not just kind of chatting there, but there are things they need to complete at the end of their discussion. And then I try to just tell them that if you are moving to your team Google Meet, make sure that you mute or you just to turn off your microphone, unless that if you are in 2 different rooms and if your microphone is on, then the howling and the noise is going to be disaster. So I just give them first, before I just to do this kind of a group work, I just to give them enough kind of a practice time to jump into the different room and coming back. And so because the teachers can go into the different the Google Meet rooms at the same time. So this is also how I conduct teamwork or group work or splitting hangout meets room, just like what we can do with the Zoom. I'm not going to talk too much about like the issue of Zoom. I mean, I just use Zoom, WebEx, Skype, Teams, and also Hangouts, and then Google Meet, all of them. But as a teacher, it's my responsibility to choose the safest tool. Convenience is important too. Easy to access for the students is important too. But the safest tool for me to protect my students, that's the way I do if I'm in the classroom with my students. If any stranger is going to jump into my classroom, I'm going to do anything to stop him. So same thing. That's what I did too. So I mostly use Google Meet, and then I use a G Suite account, and then I can only invite the people supposed to be in my class. I can deny if there's anybody comes in. So that's why I try to develop some of the curriculums, a way of teaching, way of utilizing this Google Meet to run. Not exactly same, but the similar ways of conducting my team project or teaching with my students. Um, well, yes, the coronavirus, Corona 19, is not only in Korea, it's a worldwide. And then every single teacher who's watching this, or every single teacher in the world is facing the same challenges and same issue. And even before the coronavirus, the 21st century, the learning system was not as same as before. Like learning was no more localized. It's more like a global. We use SNS and then social media to communicate with the people around the world. And students, they just give the feedback and then getting the feedback from the people, not only in your local area, from other places too. And also the learning is no more just alone sitting at, I mean, of course, we need the time to study ourselves too, but now more like a project based learning and teamwork together, collaboration and communication based. And also the students are not just to passively consume the information, but they also actively create uh, the information or some of the contents for learning and share the rest of the word. And we used to have a set time for us to study and teach, but now the learning happens anytime, anywhere. So the GC for education was not only deadly important thing for only just to fight against this coronavirus or distance learning, but this it was a great opportunity. I mean, great tools or platform for us to help students customize their learning and also facilitate their project-based learning, and also help them to conduct the authentic the project and help them to collaborate and communicate together. So to me, I mean, I'm sure like the coronavirus itself, and then what's happening around the world is a disaster. And then, but I think this is a great shift, great turning point of our education system. And then now, a lot of people who just pushed back, and then they try to just to probably avoid using digital tools, and probably had a fear that, oh, this is for only just to special teachers whose background is computer science and then engineering. But now that they are getting to know that this interface is quite simple and then quite direct and quite intuitive. And so I am using this opportunity to let other government officers or social workers, teachers, students, and parents get to know more about it. And as you can see the picture here, I have also the sunglasses right here. I always use when I just first meet my students. I mean, I might not do this if I just meet my students in physical classroom setting, but I try to find something I probably never have even imagined if we had a classroom setting. But instead, my students just to put on some costume, we meet together, and then I just sometimes just give them some mission next time. So they need to all just to put on some kind of a dress code, bring something yellow, yellow ribbon, yellow bow tie, yellow hat. So they look forward to my virtual class next time. So I try to just to get the idea and share this idea with my GEG teachers, and we try to first share this idea and test this idea and see whether this is not way too much or whether it really works. And after that, each of us we try to apply this idea to our class settings. I want to share this wonderful article. Maybe you can just type in the Times Educational Supplement. The article was released April 3rd, and it says that teacher must lead the school's response to Corona 19, and probably the teachers are not now in the middle. So many people are looking upon you and says, okay, what should I do, teacher? But also at the same time, the people are convincing you that, oh, this is not what teachers supposed to do. Okay, this is not your job. But I think we are just the hidden heroes. I mean, we are doctors and nurses in education field, and then we need to lead this response and then collaborate together. And if you think you are just alone, and then look around, and then especially teachers in Hong Kong and Macau, you have a Jason Pang, we have a GEG, and then we are not the perfect or like the or Google expert or Googlers, but we have used Google tools before or a little bit in advance, but we are willing to share our material with you and our experience or answer some of the question you have. And that's the message I try to share with the people. Like how many teachers been trained through my virtual teachers training course. That's not the issue here. I try to let teachers know out there that don't feel you are alone, and then don't try to do everything yourselves. Try to just to reach out to people, and then especially the Google Educators Group GEG. That's what we are for. We are just here to listen to you and help you out. And as you can see this picture, the teachers in my one of my virtual teachers training program, they have a two thumbs up messages from Korean teachers that, this is the long dark tunnel. There's going to be the end. So don't lose the hope. So that's the message from my trainees. And I'd like to also just to thank my the GG members. They're amazing. They're wonderful teachers. I love them so much. And the reason I can just conduct this training course is because I have them. And then because of their support, um, every single day I can just move on to the next day. And then every single day I can just wake up and then just to appreciate every single moment of my lives, and then try to find someone like this and try to just be in the group, and then just to, as she said, find a group of people who challenge and inspire you and spend a lot of time with them, not physically, even virtually too. And that will change your life. That is what GG for. Well, thank you very much for staying with me. Thank you for watching me. And then that's the end of my presentation. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Jason.
thank you, Judy. Yes, this is exactly what GEG are actually. GEG is try to connect different educators together, and then just to fight a lot of challenges. Yeah, so that is the value, the core value of GEG. Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can put the questions on the live track, and then try to ask something, some situation in Korea, and then yeah, we can use this chance to exchange our idea. As I listen to Judy presentation, then I think that it is quite special if we use the Google Meets and also the Google Slide to do discussion. May I know how is the reaction with the of the student? Are they doing good with the Meets and also the Google Slide?
Well, the first time when I invited my students to Google Meet, everybody was just wow, like, and then they didn't even know that I can hear them, and they didn't know I can see them, right? And because the first time when I invited them, they didn't know there is the grid view Chrome extension, so they were not ready. But they just after the first session, they got used to it, and then the following session they were more dressed up, and then they try to just to focus on make sure that they have like the ear sets. So from the second session, the students just got used to this Google Meet, and also along with this meeting, the Google Meet, they got used to the slides I share with them, because we can just actually share a slide in the Google Meet, right? And
Yeah.
then they just wanted to do the same thing. So that was also how I actually seduce the students, show them like a different tools. Okay, so today I'm going to show you this. And the student asked me, Judy, what is that? Oh, that's Google Docs. Do you want to try Google Docs? And then after that, I just share some of the links of Google Docs. Everybody can jump in and then do the work together. And then that's how I actually introduce the tools to students. But I do not expect to uh, let them just to complete all those kind of like the features, and then do as much as I do. That's not what I do, but I try to introduce tool by tool, but make sure that what I'm going to actually deliver through this tool, and that's always my concern and my issue.
Yeah, that's great. So you have a wonderful class.
Well, I love
Really?
my students, and then as I said earlier, that before I just actually apply any kind of idea, I just make sure that I practice this one with my GG actually captains and leaders, and see how they're gonna feel, how I'm gonna feel. That's how my students gonna feel, right?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, the student use Google Slide and Google Meets to do discussion. Oh, I
Right,
find
right.
I find the questions here.
Oh yeah, okay.
Sorry. I just
Mhm.
pressed the wrong. Yeah, this one.
So, how Judy, can you share how students in Korea access your virtual teaching? Okay, well, actually both. So the Google Meet, um, if I just share the link, the students can actually download the app and they can join. And one of the greatest feature of a Google Meet is that they can interact with me with a text. Hangout itself doesn't have it; they can only join. But Google Meet, they can interact with me with a text, either the PC or mobile device. So, but for now, the majority of my students, actually, I can show you one of my class. So right at the bottom, this is the one of my class, like graduate school students, and then they all log in. The first time, some of them logged in through mobile device, or some of them their smartphone. But now, just in session 4 or 5, they all log in through their PC, so they can have a more active, because the PC version, they can have a more active interaction with me. So now the majority of my students get used to about 3 4 sessions with me. They all log in through their PCs.
Oh, that's great. Because in Hong Kong, I think most of the students just got their phone, and
Oh, sure,
yeah,
sure.
it is a great limitation actually. Because when we do Google Slide, if you use the phone app, the Google
Mm-hmm.
Slide app is not that good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, sure. Yes. I mean, the majority of students, we have that issue too. I mean, it depends on what kind of device you have, or whether you have to share your PC with your siblings. So we have the same issue too. But I think like that is also, what I always just make a survey form and ask students, which device is suitable for them to access. So depending on the survey, I just to create the different activities. So some of my classes and some of the students, they are just the PE students, and then they cannot really access to PC immediately. Then I try to make a pre-survey and see which device they can easily access first. And so I just to create the different activities for them.
Yeah, that's great. So, do they have uh, the problems with internet connection? Is it serious?
Well, the Korea, we have a 5Gs everywhere. Well,
Oh, okay.
yes, yes. I mean, that's a great beneficial thing in Korea, that a lot of us, we have either free access to internet, or we have a great access. But some students, they have device issues. Either they have connected to Wi-Fi, but they have some issue with the device, so they cannot really just have a download the Chrome or something like that. Or still we have a students, such as like disabled students or visually challenged students, and that's way far beyond the Wi-Fi or internet access. But the Korean government tried to just to help those students who cannot afford the internet access, so they can actually go to school and in the separate classroom, and then they can actually participate some of the virtual classes.
Oh, I see. So they need to go to school if they don't have if they don't have the internet connection.
Yes, so the Korean government tried to provide the best setting, even tried to just to give out some of the laptop computers and mobile devices or tablet PCs or Chromebooks to some of the students if they don't have any device at home to connect to with the teachers.
Got it. So, oh, one
Mhm.
more question. Can the student catch up with the normal teaching schedule after the outbreak?
Well, I think maybe this question is way too early to answer because the Ministry of Education hasn't even decided whether we're going to have a physical class this semester, whether we are going to go on as distance learning for this semester until September. So but teachers are creating that we are hoping that we are going to meet students definitely sometime this year. So teachers try to develop the curriculum in the long term side. That means they try to just to prepare the material, so once they meet students they can integrate with the textbook, and then they can actually just to develop their learning through the whole semester. So the many teachers are actually developing the curriculum kind of like a bridge between distance learning and also the physical class in future.
Is it a must for the online learning in Korea, or just
Yes, this is must. This is must. So the government earlier presentation, I just I mean I already mentioned that the last week the grade 9 and grade 12 they started online, and then this Thursday the rest of them except the grade 1 to 3 and kindergarten, and so the gradually the school is reopening, but only virtual classes. So this distance learning is must right now in Korea.
oh, got it. Because in Hong
Yes.
Kong, it seems
Mhm.
still decided by the school.
Oh, is that right? It was just like that
Yeah,
before, like in March. Mhm.
most of the school are doing online learning already, but
I see. I
still
see.
decided by the school. I mean, the format of the online learning and how
Hmm.
much they do also decided by.
Hmm. I see.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So how are you? What about the teachers in Hong Kong? How are you just preparing? Just to potential distance learning if it goes must in future. Um, any things like you are preparing
actually,
for
there are
now?
a lot of webinars actually.
Mm.
Held by different organization or different
Mm-hmm.
department or of the
Mm.
government or yeah.
Mm.
So we have a lot of webinars all focused on the distant learning, like
I
using
see.
the online learning video tools like the Google Meets and also
Mm-hmm.
the LMS like the Google Classroom, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
I
have a
see.
but in Hong Kong, I think it is quite good because the connection are not bad actually because we have
Mm-hmm.
90% coverage of the mobile phone of the smartphone. Yeah,
I
but
see.
another problem is some of the students just got the smartphone and don't
Mm.
have PC. Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Got
we
it.
need to
Got it.
choose carefully actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I see.
so yeah.
I mean, for last 2 months, what I learned from this, the preparing for distance learning was a lot of teachers, probably love like the webinars too, but they really wanted to uh, meet trainers just like a person, and they wanted to actually learn something in the course of a period, just like the way they learned before. And then so we have a webinars too, but the teachers who register for the virtual the teachers training program using Google Meet is is is, is numerous, like they just prefer us to teach them just like this and interact with them and then ask us a question, and they want those answers to be answered, just a question to be answered right away, just like they just need that kind of like interaction and support. They just feel like they're not the only one.
Yeah, because I think the career teacher is also like interaction online. In Hong Kong,
Absolutely.
actually in Hong Kong we like face to face far more than webinar. Yeah, but
I mean,
now
we prefer face to face too, but it's
oh,
it's like for us inevitable, right? So that's why the webinars are more just like the video recorded and passively you watch it and then follow up the tutorial, right? But the Korean teachers they prefer this kind of interaction, and then so that's why our virtual teachers training course will just continue until the end of this Corona crisis.
Judy, we have one more questions. Let me
Oh,
see.
sure.
How many virtual classes or hours of virtual study do students have each day? Since
Hmm.
it is not healthy to face computer screen for a long time. Oh,
Absolutely agree. I mean, um, I think that the teachers and students and also the parents, they do not agree us to have a virtual class like all day long, just like the way they meet their teachers with a timetable in physical class. So we try to have a, like at least like an hour, especially the one of my the GG captain, we have a Luke, and he's been doing this distance learning like for last 3 weeks, and he sets up 1 hour in the morning, and then after that the rest of the day the students just to um, if they want to log in they can ask a question, he stays, but his virtual class is only 1 hour in the morning. He teaches the grade 4, and some teachers they try not to choose to have a virtual class all day. But what I do is training teachers. So mostly like each session is about 2 to 3 hours long, and then they need to get training at least 6 hours long to complete those. I mean, completely learn about those 6 different tools to create their virtual class settings.
Mm. One more questions. A little
Yes.
bit. Uh, on the administration's level, does your school provide a centralized schedule for the virtual lessons of all subject class, or the teacher arrange on their own?
I guess it depends on the district, depends on school, depends on the age group we teach. But the government tries to set up some kind of guideline, should
Oh,
and shouldn't, but they try not to really centralize it. But what Korean government is now suggesting to Korean teachers is try to just create some YouTube tutorials or try to use what the educational broadcasting system already made it. Like we have the educational broadcasting system called the EBS. So let teachers use some of the resources that EBS they created and they integrate it to their classes so students can easily access to it without their mobile device. But
mm,
except those, the government is not really centralizing the curriculums. But I guess it depends on the leader of your school or school district, whether
mm,
they're gonna just give more free hands to teachers, or whether the district leader or your school leader says no, you have to stick to this way because that's what the rest of the school members or the um stakeholders or the parents feel comfortable with. So that's how things are going around for last 2 weeks in Korea.
mm. Yes. Thank you, Judy. Yeah,
Thank you
maybe.
very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Judy. And
Yes, thank you for having me once again. And I wish just this disaster goes away as soon as possible. But um, stay safe and stay healthy and be nice to each other and make sure that you just to tap on the GG leaders and members' shoulders if you need any question or any help. And I just hope to see you again sometime in future. Thank you for having me,
thank you.
Jason. Again, thank
Yeah,
you.
maybe I will hold for the live chat a bit more time because
Okay,
some discussion is happening. Yeah, that's good.
all
So
right.
the broadcast here is finished, but I won't
Okay,
end up the live track immediately, so we can track.
okay,
Oh, keep track on that. Okay. Okay. Thank
okay.
you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.